understand it, and Norris right out sliding to the gravel is doing exactly the same.
You're right, you know, you've got to take risks, but not too much in the first stage. But these top drivers have that ability to go to such a high level right from the beginning to get that feel and find out just how much speed they've got in the car. So Lando Norris on a decent sector at the moment, is very similar sector time, a little bit slower.
ओए स्ट्रीम चालू किया
Feel the edge of grip and understand it, and Norris right out sliding to the gravel is doing exactly the same.
You're right, you know, you've got to take risks, but not too much in the first stage. But these top drivers have that ability to go to from the beginning to get that feel and find out just how much.
Norris, fastest final sector, manages to pick up the time at the end, so very close to Verstappen, Hamilton and Russell very close as well. If you are one of those big dogs, you've got more margin to probably do it without relying on the last lap. Remember, this is only the bottom 5 that will go out, so it's the likes of a Haas, of a Williams, certainly a Sauber, when you can bring yourself up with one final lap of heroism.
Into the village corner there, Charles Leclerc just running a little bit wide and ended up backing off. Carlos Sainz currently on a reasonable lap. So currently early on in the drop zone, we have Logan Sargent, Daniel Ricciardo and Carlos, but he's on a decent lap and no lap times yet for the 2 Haas cars. Be interesting to see how they got on, because Hulkenberg has been showing some good pace with the updated Haas so far this weekend. We'll see if it works together here once again, but still good time for them to adapt, feel what the track is like. Of course, the teams will also be keeping an eye on any opportunities for rain to fall further. At the moment, there is a chance, but it's not looking too likely.
Pretty surprised that we've not seen one of the drivers that might struggle to get out of Q1 bolt on a set of slicks already to try and get a feeling for it before the final throws. 11 minutes left. Hulkenberg hasn't even left the pits in this session. Haas have got quite high expectations. They've got upgrades on the car. Hulkenberg was flying in dry conditions. I think he'll be one driver that hopes that it becomes pure slick running by the time we get later on in the session. But they're biding their time, aren't they? Magnussen on an outlap right now. Hulkenberg sitting in the pits, maybe just waiting to try and fit some slicks straight away.
Maybe he just wants to go out on slicks and get the feel straight away on the slick tyres rather than get distracted. Maybe he feels it would be distracting to go out on the intermediates, but it does give drivers an idea. It does teach them where the wetness is.
Soft tyres finally. Here we go then. Leclerc is on the track.
He
He's
is,
just
but he had
left
a
the
shit
pits on the softs.
lap.
Everyone fairly cautious with putting them on, but there's still 10 minutes to go in this Q1. It's not the cut thrust of a shorter Q3 session or SQ that we see on sprint weekends, so you can afford to build into it with a couple of flying laps. That's what we've seen. Now the time is for the softs, and we will keep an eye on Charles Leclerc first and foremost to see how he gets on.
So Lewis Hamilton's just on a 1:37.134. He's gone fastest. He's still on the intermediates, but as you say, we're beginning to see people now coming out on the slick tyres, on the soft slicks, and this is going to be very, very interesting. Intermediates on both of the Aston Martins at this point. We're watching Fernando Alonso. Let's see whether this brings him a little further up the order, down in 14th position at this stage. Yes, it does move him up into 9th place. This will all change around as we get into the final part.
I feel like
Stroll looking to improve slightly. He's been doing a reasonable job so far this weekend. Let's just see. Yes, he does go quicker than Alonso again in these conditions. He moves up to 7th.
Lap times currently are meaningless because they're all going to be improved on. You can see the 2 drivers right now out on soft tyres. Here's Charles Leclerc, and very slowly, but this part of the track looks bone dry at the start of the hangar straight. Then he'll move across onto the moisture. He's got to use the drier parts of the track to make sure he can generate the tyre temperature, which will help him when it gets wetter. Piastri's completing a lap. The times right now are meaningless, but what it does give you is an indication of who's feeling confident, who's happy on these intermediates throwing the car around, who's able to drive the car on a limited grip without making mistakes.
So Piastri crosses the line. He goes 3rd fastest. So we have Mercedes,
Piastri goes
Red Bull, and then the 2nd McLaren of Lando Norris. More slicks about to go on, this time on the Ferrari, as everybody now is beginning to switch. So Carlos Sainz, who is a little bit further down, but not too bad. He's now onto the slick tyres. Let's just have a look at Lando. Presumably a little bit of a moment on the intermediates. Just running wide again at the village corner.
Very wet off the racetrack, down in turn 3, little lock up and off he went, pushing the limits there. Leclerc's on a flying lap on the soft tyre through the first sector with no improvement, but he's not miles off either.
Unsafe release by
And
Alex Albon.
if the first lap is close enough, every lap from then on, you build the temperature, you build the confidence, and you only get better. Soft tyres will be the way to go in Q1.
Absolutely right, and it's going to start getting quite exciting now as the
Hamilton's on
times are going to
slicks. I
start
repeat,
shifting
Hamilton's on
away
slicks.
quite quickly. Valtteri Bottas on a set of soft tyres as well. As you say, Leclerc's first sector not quite as quick, but only 3/10 down, really, just over 3/10 down on the fastest that we have seen so far. So, and that's some of the slow corners here too. So he's done pretty well. We know the slippery bit, this section, for example. He's gone
Ricardo has
to
to
the
do
similar
better.
sort of sector time. Middle sector, yeah, he's a second down, but as you say, this is going to turn around very, very quickly.
Yellow flag out.
Yellow flag out there in the middle sector.
Now the Perez has had a
Perez
spin.
is
Oh, and he's
out.
in the gravel.
Perez is
My goodness,
out.
Sergio Perez.
That's
This could be
red
the
flag
end of
for
qualifying
Q1.
for Sergio Perez, for the Red Bull man who's having a tough time and who is now again under consideration whether he's going to be with this team in the future, even though he's got a future contract. He's put it in the gravel.
He's bended.
Oh,
He is
no,
allergy
Sergio
bended.
Perez.
That's such
What?
a rookie
Soft tyres
error.
were the
Christian
way to go.
Horner
Everyone is
cannot
coming
believe
in.
what
There's
he's seeing,
barely
man.
anyone that's not put on a soft tyre, but you've got to keep it on the track on the first lap. As Bottas was starting his lap, you could see he was still fighting the car. Leclerc wasn't about to go
That's such a
top of the
rookie
times, but
mistake.
it's about
Let's see what
building the
has
tyre temperature
happened
with
to,
7.5 minutes to go.
This
The
is
main
just
thing
the
is you've
running
got to
of
stay on the
show.
island,
No,
and
was it
Perez
Joe? No, it
has gone
was
straight to the
Bottas.
beach.
Red
Bottas
flag.
in the
Everybody else
front.
has to come back in. Of course, the
This
clock
team's,
stops now, so there will still be 7.5 minutes of Q1 to go to get into the top 15. But he will have to be rescued. He will not be able to go back out.
That's it for Perez, and that is nightmare stuff for team and driver. This race could be a fascinating duel, or even a three-way fight with Mercedes potentially being in the mix. We know Piastri is looking quite quick as well. Here's the one remaining Red Bull. Perez will start right at the back of the grid now for tomorrow, and this is off the back of what Christian Horner was saying yesterday. They need a second driver in the fight. They're not getting it. It's tough times for Sergio Perez.
It certainly is. We certainly assume that everyone's going to be going a lot quicker. I mean, he has set a time that's 10th fastest for now, but this will be irrelevant once they all get back out. The track is dry.
for Red
The
Bull.
other thing,
And
to
it's
bear in mind,
amazing
which
for
you actually just
Ricardo.
reminded me of by saying that, is that Pierre Gasly, who is in the drop zone at the moment, he will be pushed to the very back because he's got just a load of penalties for all the power units that they've fitted to the car, all the items. So that
Oh,
means
that's
that he has
Tsunoda.
a massive penalty that will put him to the back, probably behind Perez. They'll both be at the back together, won't they?
Yeah, they will. And Perez is staying in the car. This is desperate times for Checo, who wants a push, but he's not going to get it here.
No.
He needs to jump out of the car, and the marshals can clear it off, and we can get going again. All the while he's sitting in it, the track's going to be drying that little bit more as well. He's just desperately hoping for a bit of divine inspiration, but here comes the JCB to tow him away. I think it's probably a good idea that he gets out.
All I need is to be pushed back. There is a tarmac over there.
I know that's a nice idea. That's a nice idea, and it used to happen in history sometimes, but you just can't push the car out of the gravel, that deep gravel. It's just not possible.
No, the JCB's there. We want to get qualifying going again, and it's frustration. He'd be so annoyed with himself because in the dry yesterday, Checo actually had done a decent job. He gave up his car for FP1. Isaac Hadjar was in it, got the car back in one piece, and then Perez jumped in for FP2 and was on a solid pace, and certainly would have been looking to get himself cleanly through into Q3, but wanted to be aiming for a top 5 starting position. And for a man that struggled to break onto the any sort of meaningful fight in Formula 1 other than minor points in all the recent races, surely he's going to be fighting for that again for tomorrow. He's got a lot of overtaking to do.
That's 2 years in a row he's gone out in Q1 here at Silverstone, because he managed to. We had a very last-minute run in Q1 last year, and he missed out on that, and he's missed out this time by making his own mistake. And you do wonder what Christian Horner is thinking about. Do we keep Sergio Perez? Because even though they have renewed the contract, he has been making it fairly clear that they are thinking a little wider now. They're getting Liam Lawson to do a test coming up in here at Silverstone after this race weekend. There's a chance that maybe Daniel Ricciardo will be brought in. We don't quite know what the plan is yet from Red Bull, but this is really bad news, I can tell you, for Sergio Perez, that he's made this mistake.
And a shake of the head from Christian Horner on the pit wall, who will probably know the camera's on him because the cameraman will be standing just to the left, and that is an obvious sign of displeasure at his number 2 driver.
So he came in for the slick tyres. Understandably, he wasn't the first. He was one of the early ones to go onto the softs. Now, let's see what happened here, Julian.
So you gotta, yeah, oh no, that's where he's had just a small snap on the way into the corner, but then when you're on these slick tyres, you have to stay on the dry line. And just a small
Maybe it was too early for
oversteer
Perez for
prompt
slicks.
him onto the wet stuff, and then you're doomed.
Can they push it forward?
That would count as mechanical assistance. We wouldn't be allowed to rejoin qualifying.
So it was explained to him very quickly, and that must be hurting him so much. And this was Daniel Ricciardo following. He actually ran wide as well, but thankfully without losing it. But I know how easy it is to make a mistake like that when you're on slicks, on a wet surface, but it was still early in this session. That happens more often when you get into the final minutes of the session. I understand that because people take risks, but he shouldn't have caught himself out so early on in that session.
Yeah, he's just pushing too hard too soon. It's difficult to find the balance. You know, driving a Formula 1 car, you have to be immensely skilled. These are complex machines. They're the fastest cars in the world. It's not easy. I can testify to that myself. I mean, the skill level out there generally is through the roof. And Checo is an immensely talented driver, and these are some of the toughest conditions you will find. When you put on slick tyres and there are damp patches around, you have to be so precise.
Look at this.
As soon as you get offline, you're in real trouble. Actually, Ricciardo did a good job to not follow Checo into the gravel.
The track is still red, Oscar, but people are queuing because there is a risk of rain towards the end of the session. So I put you in the queue. I don't have a restart time yet.
Okay, yes, we haven't seen a restart. Oh, yeah, we've just seen it, actually, 3:19. Okay, so we're actually 2.5 minutes away, so it's actually going to be pretty soon now.
Yeah, Singer, some more rain around, and the track's right on the cusp of being good enough for the soft tyres right now. Everyone knows that you've got to be on the softs to make this work right now. There's no point going out on inters, because if these soft tyres get working, which they will do, then they're going to be immeasurably quicker than an intermediate. But of course, if the rain comes, you maybe get one flying lap to show what you can do.
But this is actually quite a tricky one, isn't it? Because how much fuel are you going to put on board? How many laps do you think you're going to be doing? And also, these tyres will be strong initially, and you're trying to get more grip because the track is still damp. As the track dries out, then you might be wearing the tyres out. So it's quite an interesting combination.
Yep. 7.5 minutes on the clock. You have to fuel for the session now, which is going to be 4 flying laps. So you know that that's what you've got to have on board.
Yeah, you should not be on Twitter
bring them in.
much.
Don't worry about the degradation. Just fire them up in the first instance. And especially with rain about, it's about getting them working, but not doing a Sergio Perez.
Lando, the risk of rain is coming.
Do you think Hamilton will go up?
It will affect the track in 5 minutes' time, so the early laps might be important.
Let's go down to Will Buxton. Will, don't think it's raining with you just yet, but
Okay,
it might be in a
the wind has
moment.
picked up. So
Yeah, not yet, Ben. And that is what we're looking at right
Look
now,
at the
which is
clouds.
the blue skies. But if
Look
we
at
turn
this.
around 180 degrees, that's what the team is seeing coming in. All of the teams are seeing this coming in. Rain anticipated within the next few minutes. Could this be Sergio Perez's saving grace? Because if it is dry out on track, the times will tumble naturally, and Checo will fall to the bottom. If the rain kicks in just as this session starts, where he is right now, he might actually be safe. Session about to restart, guys. Rain is coming in.
Either way, it'll be 15th at best. So it'll help him out a few places if it rains, but he's still going to be starting well outside of the top 10 because he's not taking any further part.
So, incident involving Lance Stroll noted, leaving pit exit on red light. That must have been just when the red light came out when Perez went into the gravel trap. So maybe he was just leaving the pit lane and carried on out, and they're investigating that.
Yeah, we'll have to see a replay of that one. Should be fairly clear-cut from the onboard shot, and that is a big no-no. When the pit exit light goes red, no one should enter the track. So that'll take some explaining. It's gone green now, and we're underway.
This is an exciting time for us, I have to say, for all the fans in the grandstands as well.
When is there?
We could be into an absolutely critical stage of this qualifying. You can see the clouds coming over. We've heard from the teams we're expecting rain. The track is still not fully dry, but they're all out on slicks, and they've got to get it right.
This is such a tough moment for the drivers.
Agneson
It's so
and
gloomy
Joe
overhead.
Quali.
It's right on top of us now, this dark cloud. I don't think it's raining yet. I can't see umbrellas up. So
I feel like
they've
Nico
got a
Hülkenberg
short
will
window to get these tyres
into
fired up,
Q2.
keep it on the track, and get in a decent lap.
So Lando being told the rain will come in from turn 7. That means the Luffield
Okay, so
corner.
this is going to be
that's the
very
tight
crucial
right-hander,
for
lots of grandstands around
whoever.
there. That's around the Brooklands, Luffield, Woodcote corner, and where the original grid used to
Mercedes
begin
have
from
gone
top
first
end
off.
of the circuit, the north end of Silverstone. So top of that are pictures up
And
actually
yeah,
more
now
to the
they're
left of that is where they are saying the rain is coming from.
And we spoke about Hülkenberg's pace that he's got this weekend and the confidence. He's sat in the garage for 11 minutes, hasn't done anything. He has now left.
Can a
and
British
on
driver
an
take
outlap.
pole
He's one of the
position?
first cars in that queue, in fact. But they didn't take into account the red flag and the delay to this session. And so now Haas, if there is rain, Hülkenberg is left well in the lurch by staying in the garage in that first part. He is a driver that has to pump in a lap time. If you look at the rest of the bottom 5, it's kind of the
Okay,
usual
so Ricardo has
suspects.
to put a
Gasly
very
has to
good
start
lap
from
in.
the back. Ricardo
Otherwise,
had a
he's
good race
fighting
last time out, but
Perez
has also
at the
had
back
Q1
of the grid.
exits in this season.
Let's see
It's
how
Hülkenberg
Bottas
that will be really hoping to
does.
get loftier.
Interesting that Ricardo's reported the steamier wind as well, which is making a little bit of difference. It is a sort of westerly, come southwesterly wind, which will affect them in a few areas.
Can Bottas show
Potentially
some?
through Copse corner, if you're trying to go quick through Copse, that can sometimes give you a bit of tailwind, make life a little bit difficult. That's turn 9 on
Maybe
our mapping
Sauber's
there.
fixed
Valtteri
the
Bottas then
car
having a go
issue.
and seeing how quick he can get the Sauber, and it'll give us a bit of an indication of immediately, of course, as the track has got drier, we're into faster sectors.
Oh!
So the soft tyres are working. Bottas sets the fastest first sector of anyone.
So Bottas is
He's
in the
got
top
to keep it on the tarmac, but you
10,
can't be too
but
cautious either,
everyone
because
else will
this could be a
improve.
one-lap shootout.
So
with
whatever
everyone
the standing
else
is going to
having a go
change
before
except
there's some imminent
Perez
rain.
and
Still,
Gasly.
there's nothing coming. The wind is picking up, but it does just have that feeling of
Whoever
wind
has an
coming any second.
amazing
Driver who's had pole positions
sector
in the past
1
when he's
will
been driving for
probably take
Mercedes here
pole.
at
This is what I...
Silverstone. The Sauber has not been a particularly competitive car this year, but let's just see. He's certainly showing us at the moment how much the track is drying up. Of course, we're going to see some of the more rapid drivers onto a lap any moment, but Bottas can be very capable in these sort of conditions.
Well, look, he's 3.5 seconds up on Hamilton's time at the top of the times. So this is what I'm saying. All of the old times are irrelevant. It's about hooking up. This is a 1 or 2 lap shootout at the moment between everyone. If you make a mistake, if you go off track limits, any of it, and it will leave you well in the lurch. There
Hamilton
we go.
has
First benchmark
started
on the
his
slicks.
lap now.
Yeah, so as you say, 4.7 seconds faster than we saw before
And
the red
Bottas
flag.
goes
Now
for
we're going to see a lot of changes
132.
coming up. Joe goes second fastest, his teammate. So Joe did a good middle sector, missed out a little bit in the final sector. Magnussen pops up into second place in the Haas. So it's Sauber, Haas, Sauber at the moment. This is all going to change. Hülkenberg, that first lap. So, and he's been out in this session, and he's gone half second quicker than Bottas, but this is all going to change.
Okay,
Didn't need
Hülkenberg.
much build-up, did he? Nico Hülkenberg. Still the rain holds off. I'm looking at Carlos Sainz, who's down in 15th position. Perez is almost in the bottom 5 and eliminated at this stage. Piastri goes to the top, but Sainz is 15th and just starting a lap, so he's pretty vulnerable in the Ferrari. Leclerc not far ahead of him either.
Lando
You can
Norris gets himself
definitely
into safety.
see
The two McLarens,
who
1
is
and 2.
way
That was an
better.
impressive lap by Piastri.
And the McLarens
Max
are looking
Verstappen
good now,
through the
Hamilton.
gravel. Max Verstappen getting back on again.
It's raining.
Oh!
It's raining. The
Max
Ferraris
Verstappen
could be
goes
in
into the
trouble.
gravel.
Sainz could be if anyone can improve, and they have. Sainz is 16th.
My goodness, that is true. Ocon has just improved. Hamilton's safe. He's well safe. Listen to Sainz.
We need this lap. We need this lap.
And Sainz is in that drop zone. And so let's go on board with Carlos Sainz. How's it going? How's it looking for him?
Well, he's got
This
traffic
is
there,
crucial
but
as hell.
Sauber gets out of the way. Oh, it's enough at the moment, but the rain is coming down, and he's got to hook this up. There are
Russell
few drivers
cannot
further back still
improve.
trying to
Okay,
improve
that's...
as well, but the middle sector is where the rain seems to be worse. Coming through Copse corner, it's
Verstappen may be knocked out.
Section to come through on the brakes, get it stopped, turn it in, and it looks okay.
And ironically,
The Ferrari can be knocked
Perez
out.
has just been knocked out, and Perez was still sitting in 15th place. But
Verstappen,
Sainz,
there
yes, he's
3
safe.
places
He's
only, and
done it,
Verstappen
even though
is
the rain's
out.
falling. Who else
In
is
Q1,
Verstappen's down in
Sainz.
15th. Leclerc could come and improve now. I think there's not enough drivers out there improving to knock Max down more than
Leclerc,
40.
if he
Here
puts
comes
in
Charles
a
Leclerc
good
up
lap,
into the
he
top 10.
is...
Is anyone
This,
else
no,
improving?
he's not
Armstrong,
improving.
15th, is trying to finish a lap and may yet manage to find a place.
Russell and Verstappen can be out.
This is what Verstappen did going into Stowe Corner. We'll have a replay.
Stroll's beaten him. Verstappen is 15th and not improving because of this. Oh, and he's lucky to not spin it round.
So maybe Red Bull are little.
Holy
Oh, but he almost beached it.
I tell you what, for the fans in the grandstands, especially Red Bull fans, what were they seeing today?
You could
They'd seen
see
both
every
cars in
driver
gravel. Thankfully for
Okay,
Max Verstappen,
that's
from his
definitely
point of
flow
view, managed to
damage.
come out
That's
the other
definitely
side.
flow
Did
damage.
Magnussen go off there as well? Let's have a look at a replay. Oh,
he sure did. Oh, he sure did.
oh, and he kept it going, got to that outer edge. That's so important.
Oh,
It's
Magnussen
all on a
also
knife
went
edge.
off,
The
you could
drivers
say,
are still
but
improving out there. The rain
he
was
kept it
drizzling
going.
has made it temporarily worse, but Verstappen is still improving for 15th. So is Albon.
George Russell,
so
can
is
he do
Tsunoda,
something?
and so
He
is
put
Sargent.
P7,
He's gonna
but
be
here
gone.
comes
Perez is gone as
Verstappen.
well,
What
but
can
there are
Verstappen do
improvements
here?
still to be made.
Will he be knocked out in
we've got the
Q1?
bottom 5 at the moment.
Sainz
Actually,
lap deleted.
Sainz has just been dropped back down. His time deleted. Track limits at turn 9.
But he's going again. Sainz is improving again. Verstappen now third and he's safe. Sainz goes second and he's safe. So the track
And Verstappen
momentarily got
does
worse.
get him.
Now it gets so much better.
Sainz
And
goes
Charles
second,
Leclerc is down in
Leclerc
14th
goes
and in trouble, but here
third.
he is coming through the last couple
No,
of corners.
Leclerc doesn't go.
Well, at least the teams have been sensible and left them out there and not brought them in early when it started raining. You've got to stay out there. Keep on going. You just never know here at Silverstone quite what it's going to do. Stroll at risk now down in 15th place.
Oh, Russell is
He's
very
just gone second. Sorry,
risky.
Stroll leapt up there.
And Magnussen has pitted in, he's in
And
12th.
Stroll
He ran
goes
through the gravel,
second.
almost hit the wall, and he's going to be in big trouble because look at these improvements. Albon goes second. Magnussen's going to be out, I would have
And
thought.
Alex Albon goes
On track right at
second.
the end. Tsunoda goes 15th, but we'll have another lap time.
Yeah, good point. It's all changed.
And
It's all changed.
Tsunoda can
Sargent
only
rounds the
improve
track is
15, but
going out.
Sargent
Down to
gets into
14th place.
Q1.
Joe currently 15th. In the drop zone, we've got Tsunoda, Ocon, Ricardo, Perez, of course.
Let's see what can
and
Lewis
Gasly,
Hamilton
and
do
Gasly's
as he
not
comes.
bothered because he's going to be right at the back of the grid, so they've just kept him in at this stage. He's not out on track. Hamilton now goes fastest into the 129.
And Hamilton
For the first
tops
time
the
we're into
session
20s.
with an
Ocon
amazing lap.
Also in the pits in 10th, now 11th. As
But
Russell
what can
comes
Russell
through,
do
and there are more
to
drivers
save himself? And Russell
Perez
gets
and Gasly
second.
at
But
bottom
what
of the
can
times and are out.
Ricardo, can he
Everyone
get
else is
himself
there trying to
out?
improve on their final laps. Magnussen's going to be in big trouble there in 14th. Leclerc in the Ferrari is 13th, but he's improving.
So can Ricardo get himself out of that drop zone? He's leapt up to 6th place. Excellent. Verstappen safe. Sainz is safe.
Ricardo
He's
goes
out there.
6th.
That's been sensible.
And Verstappen goes
Magnussen dropped to
8th.
15th. It's
Sainz
Joe,
goes 3rd.
Tsunoda, Ocon, Perez,
And
Gasly.
Leclerc is still.
Ocon's not improving. He's in trouble. This could be a
Verstappen,
horror
this
show
was
for
very
Albon.
underwhelming
Knew
for
they
the
had
Red
Gasly from the
Bulls.
back. Ocon might join him.
As Leclerc,
is now safe.
can he go for
Tsunoda
5th?
and Joe to try
And he goes
knock out
3rd
Magnussen,
fastest.
who is gone.
Yeah, Joe goes up into
Now
7th.
Joe Guanyu,
Magnussen's been
can he beat
pushed
his
down
own time?
into the
But
bottom
wait,
5. He's in
Yuki
the pits
Tsunoda has
already
a first
after that
purple
off that he
sector.
had.
Tsunoda v Bottas. Here's Yuki then into the final corner. Look at his first sector.
Yeah, this surely is going to move Tsunoda up. He's down in 17th.
Can
in the drop
Yuki
zone. Don't
Tsunoda
throw it off. He's
get
corrected that
himself
well.
into
Yeah, he's up,
Q1
you're absolutely
and
right.
knock out
That has
Valtteri
taken
Bottas? Yes,
out.
he does.
So Joe, his teammate, Bottas, his teammate, has made it through. But Bottas, ironically, after putting that good lap together,
But here
early
comes
on,
Esteban. No.
he is now out in qualifying. So the 5 out are Valtteri Bottas, Kevin Magnussen, Esteban Ocon you're riding with
Both
right
Williams,
now. Sergio Perez
both,
with the off into the gravel and Pierre Gasly
V-Cars,
because they knew he's sitting
and
in the car.
but Joe Guanyu is in the team
Q1.
Q1.
A new power unit, so there was no point in sending him out. That's understandable. He will start from the back of the grid anyway. Bit of a frustrating time for
Joe
him.
Guanyu is in
It'll be
Q1.
disappointing for the team that their other member, Esteban
But
Ocon,
Hamilton
has not
put in
made it
a
through to the next
masterclass
stage.
of a lap.
Disappointing for Sauber too that Bottas has failed to do it.
How fun was that? Doesn't get Q1. Joe out-qualifies Bottas for the first time this season.
Indeed, yeah.
Valtteri not able to improve on his last lap, and that's what happens if you don't hook it up. Here's Ocon.
Yeah, unbelievable. The only lap I had to push was the lap where it was wet.
Yeah, so he's not happy that the time. I don't quite understand that because there seemed to be several laps that something like Sainz kept going quicker and doing good laps at a crucial time there.
I wonder if he found traffic on the next lap. Verstappen went off when it was wet and still managed to do 2 more flying laps. So Ocon had the time to do it. He was on track to do it, but maybe he was tripping
Yeah,
over
yeah,
other drivers or
easily.
made another
That's why
mistake.
the
So,
lap time
either
was
way,
not
18th
up to the mark.
20th for Gasly on the grid tomorrow. Magnussen will be disappointed. Haas
This is very close margins.
Both drivers into the pits before the end, but K-Mag kept it out of the wall, which was the bigger thing, as did Max Verstappen. As it rained, it's so hard to tread the line of keeping a good lap in on slick tyres, and when it starts to rain, not just losing it, when the grip level goes 1% away from what you're expecting it to be, and when even Max Verstappen is skittling it through the gravel there at Copse, almost finding the barriers, you know how difficult these conditions are.
The king of Silverstone tops this session off.
Oh man, oh boys. I was good there.
I was.
Logan Sargent very happy to have made it through. I tell you what, Alex Albon did a good job. He got up to 7th fastest in that. So it was Hamilton, Russell, top 2 for Mercedes in those damp conditions, which we've seen.
Both Williams in their home race for the team.
Mercedes car does seem to be working very well, but big disappointment for Alpine. They knew that. Just trying to listen in.
So Josh Peckett, the race engineer for Esteban Ocon.
Took the flag.
1 second, I'll get something to do.
Yeah, so when the checkered flag came out, was it that Ocon wasn't sure if he could continue driving or not? He obviously thinks that there was another lap in there for him, and race engineer not quite sure either.
Okay. There's also going to be an investigation into the way that Alonso and Stroll exited the pit lane. I saw them lined up in a slightly odd way before they all came out of the pits, and that's going to be looked at by the stewards. It may not be a major deal, but for Red Bull, my goodness, I wondered at one point there we were going to lose both. We lost Perez early on, spinning off into the gravel trap, and that's a painful for one for him. But then Verstappen went through the gravel trap, managed to get to the outside and continue, and of course he's made himself safe. Only 11th fastest, but plenty good enough to get into the top 15. But my goodness, that was a pretty scary time, and it's so fascinating here at Silverstone when we have typical British summer providing us with conditions that are so variable. It makes life pretty tricky. Now, joining us in the commentary box is one of the top F1 strategy managers with Sauber for many years, Ruth Buscombe. Ruth, for you, for Sal being ex-Sauber, a bit painful to see what happened to Valtteri Bottas there, because he was going well at one stage and then dropping out at the end there.
Yeah, well, just like in 2022,
It's very exciting because I don't know who will get pole now.
Time around 1:37, but then it all changed with Checo in the gravel. He was 0.61 to his teammate on average before this race weekend. Going to be even more after this one. And then with 7 minutes 30 on the clock, you saw that the Saubers of Joe was able to get 4 time laps. The majority of the other cars got 3 time laps on the board, and we had huge evolution. Slight bit of rain on the top north part of the circuit around that turn 7, but the track was trying at 0.3 a lap. But we did have a small incident with Stroll running a red light, which you can't do in Formula 1, just like you can't do in the normal world.
Yeah, no, we just saw that red light flash on, didn't we, as he was heading up to the line, and he should have been warned, or he should have been looking at it. You've got to look at it, but it is difficult, I know, and your mind is on getting out the track.
He was pretty committed leaving the garage. The last garage this weekend, Aston Martin, and it was a full racing speed launch. There was time for him to react, I'd have thought.
Yeah, so it's a very atypical situation in Silverstone. We have an atypical garage order, and that last pit box, I've had it before, you don't actually need to put the pit limiter on because you don't actually hit 80 kph. Now, normally that's fine when you have a green light. Obviously, when you have a red light, it's a different story. And then just going back to that conversation we saw with Ocon, he was asking whether or not he took the flag. Now, we think that he didn't actually take the flag, looking at that page 2, so potentially he could have kept pushing. And then, as you see, with the track getting quicker and quicker and quicker, you know, if a lap is 1 minute 30, that's 0.45 seconds of track evolution, just if you do the same lap repeated 90 seconds later.
Yeah, well, sometimes it's luck involved as well, in terms of being out at the right time in qualifying when it's drying out all the time like that. And of course the track's going to be slightly different again as we're now getting ready for the second part of qualifying. It'll get underway in just a few seconds time, and it's going to be just as fun, and of course this time it's getting more intense with the top 10 fastest going through to the final stage of deciding the grid for tomorrow.
I think the McLarens won't get a pole.
I can only assume they think there's more rain around, and they all want to rush to get a lap in as soon as possible. Everyone queuing up at the end.
Yeah, definitely. And it's going to be be a bit of a pile of cars, but hopefully they've got the space here at Silverstone. They can spread themselves out a little bit. It's not raining now. We've got a bit more brightness outside our windows, so hopefully we're into a session that will be still controllable for them, although it is quite fun when we get the odd bit of rain coming in and everybody has to react to it. And of course they'll all be a little bit anxious having been through that first session already.
I hope we get a bit more rain.
Yes.
It's so fun watching these dynamics.
Okay, so now DRS has been enabled.
You don't want the rain because it really makes the work hard. Probably on the pit wall you don't want the rain either, because this sort of time, I guess it depends which team you're working for, but you want to just know what you're getting into. From the driver's point of view, you know when you can build up lap on lap and it's not raining. When it is chance of rain, any lap could be the last roll of the dice.
Well, let's see as they head out onto track. Yes, I would wonder if Mercedes might be quite happy with a bit of rain, because the car's been working very well in the wet. Whether it's going to work so well in the dry, we will begin to find out a little more. It wasn't quite so rapid in the dry yesterday in practice.
I feel like now in the dry McLarens will be
laps
fast
over the course of the weekend so far. But of course, last time out in Austria, he was on a very good lap, but he just went over the track limits, and that put him back further down the grid than he was hoping for, because he had good natural pace there. Let's see how he gets on this weekend in the battle to try and qualify up front here at the British Grand Prix. And of course, with the three Brits are still very much into this next stage of qualifying, there's lots to look out for. Alex Albon in the Williams, he's now already giving us a little
Albon
bit of a show
has
of
started
where the
his
grip
outlap.
is. It's definitely looking as though we're getting more and more grippy again now.
Yeah, we'll only get better for them, and the confidence will come up. It'll be easier to get the tyres in the right window. They've just done a few laps on the soft tyres anyway. You go out, you have that as a baseline, and immediately surpass it with your first flying lap as the track continues to dry out.
They got down yesterday in the dry to a 126.5. That was when we had a fully dry track. That was the second free practice session. So that was actually quicker than the pole position here last year. That was a 126.7. So whether we're going to get into those sort of areas with this dampness still around, I rather doubt, but we shall see.
Yeah, we probably won't get too far away from it. Just in the start of Q2 now, and the time that Hamilton did in Q1 was a 29.5, so 3 seconds away. We're not going to get to bone dry conditions, but that line, the dry line, will be there, and drivers will be able to lean on the tyres more. They'll have confidence that they can attack on the brakes as well. And again, with every lap that they do,
the bad, the bigger the bitch is sucking a dick.
To explore the limits a little bit more, push the braking back 5 or 10 meters, maybe go through a gear up through some of the faster corners as well.
See how good the lap will be for Alex Albon as he makes it 127.9. Not a bad lap.
On a dry lap time.
Yeah, we are. That's good. He did get into Q3 here last year, actually, so let's see whether he's going to be able to manage it. His teammate a little bit
And now Verstappen starts his lap. Let's see if he tops the session immediately. The fastest sector.
To get into the top 10 once everybody else has set a lap
No,
time.
he doesn't. Somebody else is having an amazing sector behind him. Probably be Sainz, I think. Yeah, this Sainz. But Alonso was 127. Aston Martin do seem fast on the drive.
Second to Alonso, as Verstappen is on a lap. Piastri just on a very good middle sector, but he's already ahead of Verstappen, so we'll get a comparison between them in a moment.
There's a big blend out of the throttle. No Copse corner still for Max. That'll get less and less as this qualifying hour continues. He's a 10th down on Fernando Alonso, and when you've just had such a moment as Max had in Q1 there, it takes a little bit of confidence.
Oh, Piastri, okay,
to
Piastri.
get back to your absolute limit of grip in the high speed. When you lose the car at Copse, you've got such a small window to try and react and
he didn't take turn 9 flat.
You are heading towards the gravel. At lower speed, things happen slower. At high speed, you've got to have cat-like reactions, and Verstappen did well to keep it out of the gravel. But yeah, it's going to take probably just 1 or 2 laps to refresh and reset himself.
Yeah, Verstappen, I think you're right. He was a bit cautious then because he went 5th, whereas Carlos Sainz has just set the pace now. And it's not a particularly
So they're going to go for another push lap.
Because they've been quick, both Mercedes, in these sort of conditions up until now. Let's see what George Russell is doing, because I would expect him to be in reasonably good shape, but he's not.
Russell, I don't think he's going to put a good lap in.
Carlos Sainz. Let's just see where this puts him over the line. And Lando Norris goes fastest, right? Okay, so Lando Norris going fastest.
Norris
there.
puts in
George Russell,
a
sorry,
banker of a lap.
there. So Daniel Ricciardo.
Now let's see what can Ricciardo do.
So that's very much in the drop zone. So he's desperately got to find a bit more pace.
There's a mix of new tyres and used tyres. The Mercedes were unused, but so was Lando Norris at the top of the times, and Sainz and Piastri. Verstappen was on new.
Okay, so Mercedes and McLaren are on used tyres.
Dab of brakes for Hamilton, but a smaller lift, so it's just a little confidence brake, but not taking as much out of the right pedal, whereas Max had no brake but a bigger lift. Different techniques there across the two drivers.
Yeah, absolutely. This is still plenty of time to go in Q2 to get into the top 10, the final part of qualifying here for the British
Russell's
Grand Prix.
having a good first
Here's
sector.
Lando Norris, who is fastest from Carlos Sainz. Let's see Leclerc. He's saying these tyres didn't feel too good, and I was a bit surprised.
Leclerc complaining about his
He's already in the
tyres.
drop zone there after that initial run, down in 11th place, whereas we've got Alonso up there in 4th, Hulkenberg 5th, and Max Verstappen, the championship leader, currently in 6th place. Now Hamilton does improve, he goes 3rd.
Yeah, so finding it more
Hamilton in
lap.
P3 with an amazing lap. Now what can his teammate George Russell do as he comes near
not in their perfect operating window, which they won't be right now on a
so Hamilton
track.
going for
They'll
box,
get
but what can Russell do as he crosses the line and goes 9th fastest only? Definitely Mercedes of Russell needs new tyres, but Albon with amazing lap puts him at 4th position.
Maybe he's done more damage to his tyres than the likes of Norris or Sainz in that Q1.
Alonso has a middle sector
up there once again, just a little bit more. He's in the top 10 currently, but there are still plenty that may take him out of that top 10.
The bad, the bigger the
Stroll
negative.
just about to come over the line, goes 5th fastest in the Aston Martin. That will give them some encouragement.
No, Alonso
fastest of anybody
does
in the
come
middle
in.
sector. Alonso goes quickest. He's in good form here. Fernando Alonso.
And Alonso gets fastest than anybody. What a lap.
But the track is drying up a little bit more, so those that are on laps now, in theory, should be improving all of the time. Have the teams managed to make sure they've got enough fuel in these cars? Will they be bringing them in for a final run? If so, they need to get on with that fairly soon, don't they?
Yeah, they do. It's a shorter session. They get shorter and shorter and more intense as you lose the chaff from the wheat, and Leclerc goes through.
Leclerc only 8th fastest. Verstappen 10th fastest only 2. I think so. Everyone's going to go in new tyres and
jump up to the sort of area we'd expect. There he goes, up into 2nd place.
Yeah, that's more like what we expect
and
to see.
Verstappen goes 2nd.
Meanwhile, Oscar Piastri just trying to improve. Carlos Sainz now setting an even better pace, a 1:27.149. We are coming down towards the normal dry weather pace into the 26s, 25s, 24s. Let's see if we go that quick. But Piastri onto another flyer now.
And one thing that could be worth monitoring is Verstappen's pace, because having had that high-speed run through the gravel, I wonder if there's any damage to the floor when you bounce through that quickly and went all the way through to the wall. Sometimes that does damage the underside of the car. Max on a new tyre, he's still competitive, as you'd expect him to be in these sort of conditions, but he's not absolutely setting the pace. Alonso on a new tyre is quicker, and Sainz on a used tyre is quicker. So is Max biding his time, or there might be a few points of downforce lost from that mistake in Q1?
Okay, well, let's wait and see what happens here. Piastri is on a new set of tyres as well, isn't he? So let's see how this lap goes for Oscar Piastri. Nice use of the road there without running too wide through that section where it caught out a lot of people in the first part of qualifying, particularly, of course, Sergio Perez, but even Max Verstappen as well. Comes through the blindingly quick transfer of corners at Maggots and Beckett's, and he's up very well at this stage on Carlos Sainz because he's done a brilliant middle sector. Now he's just got to keep it all together in the final sector. Remember, the idea at this stage is to make sure you're safely into the top 10. But Oscar Piastri, I think, is in good form here and enjoying it driving at Silverstone and knowing that McLaren has got some good pace. Through the final corner he comes now, full acceleration out, and he goes fastest by 2/10 over Carlos Sainz.
Yeah, Sainz actually quicker than Piastri in the final sector still,
and
even though Oscar had a peachy
the
slipstream off Carlos there on that lap. But still, a decent time. We're down into the 1:26s. These are basically dry times now. It's difficult. You still can't put a wheel wide when you're carrying this amount of speed and this load through some of the fast corners. But now you're starting to get a feeling of good dry conditions, these soft tyres, new set of soft tyres, everyone's going to now dial into the whole one flying lap, getting the most out of it on the first push. They've got time to do two, still in Q2, just to make sure that if there's mistakes or a bit of track limits or traffic, that's avoided. But as we head towards Q3, we're going to get back to a purely conventional qualifying.
Yeah, absolutely right. And we're going to be into absolutely essential stage now. Hamilton 0.4 of a second faster than Russell on their existing laps in the slow corners. But this is changing all the time as the track gets drier and drier. You can see the damp patch is really very limited in most areas now. Some places you do get a bit more damp patch where they really don't run on at all. They all use the same line in many areas, so you do get this rather dry line. As you can see from on board, Nico Hulkenberg has just done the fastest first sector of anybody. Through Stoke corner he goes. That was such a tricky area, but that's looking much better now.
Yeah, it was just that time. There was a sprinkling of rain. We were told it would come from turn 7. That's turn 9, Copse corner, but obviously came pretty quickly to there as well, and caught a few drivers out. Hulkenberg's teammate was one of them, and Magnussen was out in Q1. Verstappen was another, and continues and stays in the pits for now as well. Let's see what Hulkenberg can do. High hopes to try and get well into Q3. He's 10th at the moment and improving. George Russell is a driver that has to improve. He's out there and coming through the first sector quite nicely at the moment.
Hulkenberg is
under pressure with 3 minutes to go.
Unless
so the 36-year-old German, very experienced, goes fastest by 0.098 over Piastri. Hulkenberg in the Haas. That's going to give the Haas team a real boost. The main thing is, of course, they get through to the final part of qualifying, but you would imagine that should be enough. Even though we're going to see a lot of improvements now over the remaining laps, that's an excellent lap by Nico Hulkenberg. In the drop zone at the moment, we have Logan Sargent, George Russell, Yuki Tsunoda, Zhou Guanyu, and Daniel Ricciardo. We're going to see a lot of changes coming up.
I imagine that lap by Hulkenberg will give the likes of Verstappen the jitters there. Still in the pits and half a second down on a Haas. Loads of drivers behind him are going to be improving. Norris is out there on a very fast lap right now. We're watching George Russell sweep through to the other. Logan Sargent goes 4th. Verstappen needs to leave the pits and get on with it.
He does. Middle sector, and Sargent with an amazing lap.
Should just about be able to do it. But surely Russell now goes fastest, a 126.7, beating that time.
And Russell tops the timing board.
Definitely seeing improvements. Joe quicker than he had been, but still
people will
in the drop
definitely
zone
beat
at
this
this
time.
stage.
And now
Hamilton
Hamilton
goes
Lewis
second,
Hamilton.
as we've seen.
With what
So
time?
close
126.7. 0.004 seconds separating him and his teammate. But here comes Lando Norris. Can he top it? Yes, he does. By 2/10
we know he can do it on one lap. He's got to do it on one lap now.
Wow.
And what he won't want is a red flag at this point with only 2 minutes to go, because if just one or two more cars nip up, he's down in 9th place. You only need a couple of improvements and he would be in the drop zone. I don't think that's going to happen, but you do need to be wary, and he is out on track right now. We shall see who's going to make it through. For the moment, one of the big stars, Charles Leclerc, is not making it through. He's down in 12th place. He's on an outlap, and he wasn't very happy with that last set of tyres. Let's see if it feels better for him on this set as he goes out.
Albon on a flying lap already. He's starting his flying lap right now. Leclerc, driver under pressure. Yet, as you said, the used tyres weren't giving him a good feeling. So bolt on a new set. It should be as good as it's been so far for Charles Leclerc. Winds it up, flat out through the final part of one flying lap for Charles as well.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting one to see how it is. The Ferrari has been looking a bit nervous here at Silverstone this weekend through practice. It's quick in places, but quite bouncy and quite reactive. Both drivers we've seen almost spinning at times at the back end, stepping out very, very rapidly. And we've seen this at other circuits, but he's keeping it smooth so far. And through the first sector, let's just see how this compares. Interesting.
Alex Albon with an amazing lap.
Puts himself in yes, that's talking about
let's see what can
that
both
first sector. But, yeah, going well so far.
Yeah, Albon to 5th, puts Verstappen on the bubble in 10th. And Max is just going to come past that commentary box right now and launches into his own final lap. It's like Q1. You've got to put it together right at the end. These laps are so critical. The track is at its best. There are drivers pushing all over the place now, and Charles Leclerc barely a feather now through Copse.
Lovely onboard view on board the crash helmet for Charles Leclerc as he comes through some of these sweeping sections at Silverstone, which are so demanding, throwing the head one
Let's
side
see
to the other.
Verstappen will
Little
struggle.
touch of dust, but he was able to keep
This will be
flat
amazing
out,
if
and he's on a
Verstappen
good move
struggles.
to be able to move up into that top 10. But Verstappen currently needs to do
I
another lap,
mean,
really. If somebody,
he
because when
is
Leclerc
secure
moves, that will put
if that
Verstappen in
first
the
sector
drop
is that
zone.
good, if
But
Anish
Verstappen,
can
of course, he's
concede,
out there,
which
and he's also
obviously
putting
he
a better
will.
lap together himself. Piastri goes second fastest now. Let's see where this is going to put
Piastri
Charles
comes
Leclerc.
second.
Currently in the drop zone in 12th, but he moves up to 7th.
Max has done an absolutely solid first sector. He's not as quick as the fastest man
Leclerc
through
is
there, which is Nico Hulkenberg still in the Haas. Sainz gets ahead of Hulkenberg and is safe up in 5th.
Yeah, and quicker than Leclerc throughout this session so far today. Sainz seems much more comfortable with the Ferrari than Leclerc's feeling right now.
Verstappen still adrift at the pace of Norris. This is not the best lap from Max
Bench
Verstappen.
rolling.
Alonso's through nicely into second place. Can Max find
Oh,
a bit more
Alonso.
in the final sector? Look how close the times are. It's really, really tight. So 3/10 down on Norris, but so with Alex Albon.
Yes, incredible, isn't it? Yeah, now
Out.
the track is
So
drying
is
out.
putting
We
a
are
good
getting these very
lap
close times. Verstappen goes
Verstappen,
6th,
where does
but
he
he
finish
hasn't
from?
got that real dry line pace.
Sixth.
And it does look as though when we get into the final battle for
Oh,
pole position,
Leclerc
he may
can get
well
out
not
then.
actually be able to challenge. Russell goes quicker. He goes second fastest.
Leclerc's 10th, and Leclerc might be out
And
here with
Russell.
Lance Stroll coming through. There goes Charles Leclerc.
You're right.
Oh my
Leclerc's been
God.
pushed down into the drop zone. He has already seen the checkered flag, and that means he's out. So Charles Leclerc out in Q2 has not made the top 10. His teammate Carlos Sainz has made it. That's going to be bitterly disappointing for Charles Leclerc. Logan Sargent in the drop zone as well, whereas his teammate Alex Albon has made it into the top 10.
We are, right?
Yes, we're out.
Oh, it's going to hurt, though. That's going to hurt Charles Leclerc, who's had some good results here at Silverstone in the past. He's never won this race, but he's had 3 podiums. His best qualifying has been 3rd on the grid. He's never actually managed to get on the front row, but to not make the top 10, that's going to hurt. So, as I mentioned, Logan Sargent joining him in the drop zone on that for Yuki Tsunoda as well, Zhou Guanyu and Daniel Ricciardo. I think Daniel will also be disappointed. He's been out-qualified by his teammate. He's at a track where he's had some strong results in the past, but Daniel Ricciardo down in 15th place.
Oh, that's amazing. You just been bounced out by Verstappen, huh?
So, yeah, Logan Sargent in the end ended up 12th there,
Sargent tried
but
his best,
he
I
wasn't
would say.
far away from that top 10. And he'll have Charles Leclerc next to him on the grid, which is a bit of a surprise to know that he's going to have the Ferrari next to him, but it just hasn't come together at all well for Charles Leclerc here.
Yeah, normally if you're Logan Sargent, you'd take that, but he's frustrated not to be higher. His teammates got into the Q3.
Yeah, Hamilton's were pretty aggressively towards me. Nice to avoid him making concessions.
That's a get on with it for Lando Norris. Nothing in that. Everyone trying to get a little bit of space for the final corner.
Come on, what is he doing? What is Lando doing?
Daniel didn't get a good last lap in. Did he start very bunched up? I'm not sure. But yeah, I don't see anything in that.
No, absolutely. It's just the way it goes sometimes. We now know, though, we have all 3 Brits into that top 10 shootout for the qualifying pole position.
And what's going on with Leclerc at the moment? He won in Monaco wonderfully. He was so fast in Monaco. Home streets, home race, emotional victory that was born out from a fantastic qualifying pace that we know Leclerc is capable of. Still, you'd say pound for pound, one of the fastest drivers. But since that Monaco win, Canada, Ferrari went missing.
Yeah, he failed Q3 there, didn't he, in
did.
Canada?
Both Ferrari drivers did. Barcelona, Leclerc struggled a bit for pace. Carlos Sainz was slightly quicker. Austria, Leclerc was struggling a little bit for pace. Was finding something finally at the end of qualifying and found the gravel coming out of turn 9. And once again here, didn't see anything obviously wrong with his lap. He's not miles away. He's only a couple of tenths down on Carlos Sainz, but it's the difference in a close field between getting through into Q3 and being out in 11th place, just out of Q3. But this is Charles Leclerc. This is one of the fastest drivers who's just not absolutely in full flow at the moment. The Ferrari upgrades that came after Monaco don't seem to have worked.
No, that's right, and they have backdated a little bit on those updates apparently, but it's still not really working for him. And as you say, it's a bit of a surprise when you remember Charles Leclerc staying at Ferrari for next year and will be joined by Lewis Hamilton, whereas Carlos Sainz, who's quicker than him today, is moving off elsewhere. We still don't know exactly where he's going. We will find out presumably over the next few weeks, but yeah, it is Leclerc who will stay there, and he will be joined by Lewis Hamilton. So just a few minutes now until we get into the final part of qualifying, the top 10, and the way to decide who is going to take pole position for the British Grand Prix this weekend. 3 Brits will be in that mix, but we've also got former stars here at Silverstone, including Fernando Alonso, who's actually been doing a very, very good job this weekend. He's had 3 pole positions here at Silverstone in the past, 2 victories. I don't think he's really going to be quite having that pace to do that, but he was 3rd quickest in that part of qualifying, so it was impressive. And Verstappen, on the other hand, who we always expect to be challenging for pole, and he may well do, but he's not been showing great pace.
Right, Verstappen off at your peril.
No, I'm not going to do that. Yes,
in the current era. He's not far away, and he did provisionally set the fastest final sector in that. I do wonder if he's got gravel rash on the underside of that car, though, from the high-speed skip he had through the gravel at Copse. At low speed, you can sometimes get away with it a bit more, but we've seen it in the past. Remember Alonso going off at the final corner in Barcelona qualifying last year, and it really hampered him. Just a few points of downforce in a close fight and a close field could be costing Verstappen.
Let's bring Ruth Buscombe in, our strategy engineer. Ruth, what are your thoughts as we go into this final stage of qualifying, the battle for pole and those that have made it and those that haven't?
Well, in Q2 we had a split of strategies. Although everyone was on the slick tyre, we had some teams that fueled for the session, i.e. a kind of a wet style session, and others that went for 2 single dry runs. Notably the Mercedes, the McLaren, and it looked a little bit like the Ferrari fueled for the session, whereas Red Bull and Hulkenberg did 2 different dry runs of kind of one time lap for Hulkenberg. Now that means you have carrying different amounts of fuel on board. Each lap of fuel is worth over 600 here, so it does make quite a big difference. So does track evolution, that is still really, really high, about 0.2 every minute. Now 15 minutes, you see how tight the field is, makes a huge difference across that session. That trend, if the weather stays like this, will continue through Q3, so it'll be a fine balancing act of getting the lap in and maximising, you know, the track getting better throughout the session. And yeah, as you say, it all looks pretty tight at the front, especially if there's any gravel rash on the bottom of that at Red Bull.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Easy to make mistakes around here. And Jolyon, I want us to have a look at what Charles Leclerc got up to in Sector 2, because he didn't put together a perfect lap, Charles Leclerc. And of course, we know that he's now dropped out, sadly missed out from getting into the top 10. Let's have a look. How did it look from a driver point of view through this section?
Okay, visor cam. Yeah, okay, so he was just in too deep for the final part of Beckett's there. Carried too much speed, washed wide. He was chasing the throttle a little bit too early. Into Stowe, and he's again fractionally wide of the apex. But the mistake there was on the exit of Beckett. Chasing the throttle too early, when you've got to blend off, wait and go again, running out of space on the exit, that would cost him all the way down the hanger straight. So, well, there's our answer. In the short term, Charles Leclerc, more pace in there had he hooked it up. Needed a 10th and a half to get into the top 10, and I'm pretty sure he lost it all there.
Yeah, I think it was 0.27 seconds to Sainz in that section, but bear in mind, if he's running that Imola package, instead of the Spain one, he's been running, that's probably the first time he's gone through that high-speed section with that package that has very different aerodynamic qualities to it than the Spain one, that's a little bit bouncy through there. So potentially, like, not the good time to kind of have a first go in Q2.
Well, that's a good point, I suppose, Ruth, and certainly Carlos Sainz managed to make it. But as you say, the gap was not big between them. It's just that it's a very close battle to get into the top 10. Charles Leclerc has narrowly missed out. Carlos Sainz has made it through, and in a few seconds' time, we're going to get them all out again.
And I think it's more just the narrative from Ferrari, the way that they were challenging so much at the start of the year. I mean, as much as anyone was challenging. But they did win in Melbourne. They were the second best team, pretty categorically, in the early races.
Verstappen has significant damage on his Red Bull.
The Barcelona package, 2 upgrade packages, and they're still scratching their head as to which one's the best, which is never a good sign when you've got McLaren, who transformed their car in Miami and are still adding improvements, and you've got Mercedes, who managed to bring their car to life in Montreal. Both of those teams have become competitive by hitting the spot with their upgrades. And Ferrari have just missed it, and it's left them once again little bit adrift.
Yeah, you're right. Well, we are into the final stage of qualifying now. 10 minutes to go, just over 10 minutes to go, and it is the battle for pole position. And Lewis Hamilton, who's had more pole positions here at Silverstone than anybody else in their careers, he's had 8 pole positions. Can he really be in the battle? Let's wait and see. The Mercedes has been looking good in the wet. I'm not sure it's going to have quite the same in the drive, but you never know, because they are looking quite promising. They will have made some changes to the car coming into today. And George Russell also, of course, looking for what could be his second pole of the year, but it would be his first here at Silverstone, which would mean so much to him if he could make it happen. But the big battles are going to be with the McLarens, I think, because Norris and Piastri have been showing tremendous pace, and as you said earlier, we must not discount Max Verstappen, who's had so many poles already this year.
The field is so close, around a 1:26 lap. You've got Verstappen, Norris topped that one in Q2 at 26.5. Russell 26.7, Alonso 26.7, Piastri 26.7. There was 100th between the three of them. Hamilton 26.7, half a tenth further back, but a couple of hundredths ahead of Verstappen on a 26.7. It was incredibly close, and this is around a nearly 6-kilometre circuit with plenty of corners. It's really, really about hooking the lap up perfectly, because a small lock-up, any mistake costs you half a tenth, and you could be down a row.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we've got a dry track.